Welcome back to yet another update on the 1946 International that we pulled out of a farm here in Arizona. It's been sitting since the 1960s, so that's over 50 solid years. And the last video ended with us driving it for the first time since it's been sitting. Now, we've done a few things since the end of the last video to now. I told you that it wasn't getting first and reverse. That was actually my fault. It was basically just an adjustment issue. Once I fixed the adjustment issue, it went into reverse, it gets all the gears, the transmission works perfectly fine. And if you notice, the truck looks a little bit wet. My dad decided to put this stuff called Flood on it, and it's basically just, it's kind of like a clear coat that you wipe on or brush on. It's not a spray, and it just really brings out the patina. That's all it does. I think it gives it a cool look. I think it enhances the patina. I think really that's the best paint job you could put on it for this kind of truck, tell you the truth. We slapped a few hubcaps on it. It's just kind of what we had. We didn't know if we liked them or not. We might take them off. We might leave them on. I don't know. What do you guys think? You like the hubcaps or not? I think it does something for the truck. It makes it look at least like it rolls and drives. You know what I'm saying? But in this video, what we're looking to do is we're looking to pull some of these dents out. Some really bad dents here. Some really bad dents in the front. We're going to try and pull some of these out with a winch, maybe the tractor. Get this straightened out at least a little bit so we can put a headlight in it so that the hood will latch. It doesn't even latch. Some of these panels are just completely caved in, you know. So we'll do some kind of rudimentary dent pulling, you know what I'm saying. We'd like to make it charge, so we're going to take the 6-volt generator off, and my dad has a 12-volt generator, and we'll put that on. He also has a 12-volt regulator, which we can put on and make it a 12-volt charging system, which will make it easier to put lights in it and whatnot. But those are the main things that we're trying to get done. So let's dig into it. Dad's going to drive it underneath that tree there so we can work in the shade. It's still getting into the 90s and even breaking 100 still, so we need this tree right now. Gets reverse and all the gears after sitting for 60 years. You know, I think it looks good sitting under that tree. I feel like that's where it belongs. That's cool. So to make things easy on ourselves, we're draining the water out of this radiator, and we're going to just pull the radiator out. It's really Mr. Simpleton to get out of there. It's a couple bolts, a couple hoses, it just pulls right up. We got to be able to get a piece of wood in there, something straight, so we can pull at an even pace on that grill.
Filter that water out or clean it or even put new water in it.
Yeah, it's just picking up all that sediment. You know, it's been down in that block. See?
Yeah.
All that junk. Paint filter will get most of that out. Water's almost drained out of it. Start taking these bolts out. Dad's getting the tractor started. Maybe you just heard it in the background. I don't know if the mic caught it, but he's going to pull that around here so we can hook a winch onto the tractor and pull it. Alright, help me lift this out. I got one more bolt. Hoses are unhooked. Pull this up a little bit. Lift that radiator up a little bit. Yeah.
Fan in the way.
Oh. cool. You want me to go put it over under the awning?
Yeah, just put it somewhere to where it's completely.
Oh.
Got filthy water. Yeah, just drain that water out of it. Not where we're working.
Sorry. That fit?
Let me resituate that wood and keep that wood straight and then get in there. Go ahead and give it a pull. Alright.
You'll have to hit the brake.
Alright, so you keep an eye on things, and if we need to release the chain, move it, let's just see what happens.
Truck's rolling.
I don't know, I got the brake on.
Pump it a little. It's doing it.
Okay.
It definitely helped it.
Alright, let off a little bit and let's move the chain up higher.
Pump the brakes up and kind of hold them. There you go. Hold on, stay in there.
Boy, look at that.
Looks all right.
Looking better.
Yeah, definitely.
Look at that. Now I can see I could not see turnstiles before. Right in here. I'd say right
here.
Here, maybe. This one.
Here's good.
Yeah.
Ooh. Hold that brake. There we go. Come on. Hit them brakes. Alright. I'd say we're about there.
Yeah, you reach a point where you should stop and then you keep on.
So now she's not caved in, looking pretty straight. And now we can actually see a hood latch, and if you can believe it, look at that. We didn't even put any lube on that. Alright, let's try See how close this hood is. Look at that. The hood is like really close to latching, but the latch bolt is too far forward when it should be hitting the back of the latch, which is where it releases, so we'll have to figure that out later. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Farther?
Yeah, a little bit. Alright, that's good. Oh, pfft. It literally didn't do nothing.
You need to go a little bit farther.
Yeah, it just popped back out.
More?
Yeah. A little more. Yep, that's good. We're taking this tire off because we're trying to hit it out where it got hit so that it might pull this in instead of it just popping out every time you try and put pressure on it. Because what we think, it probably got hit in the front there and it creased it. It got hit and it pushed this out. So you gotta hit it from where it was originally to help pull this back in. That's the thought process. There you go. It's better.
Yeah. See? Now hit it there. Yeah. See? Alright.
We're a lot better now than where we started. It was popped out like a mountaintop. Now it's somewhat smooth. It's a lot better than what it was a few minutes ago. This one's okay for now. We're going to move on to the passenger side fender. This is the bad one. This is the worst panel on the whole truck. It's bashed in so bad it's got tears in the metal, not from rust, but from being hit. But look at that grill now from this angle. It's actually kind of straight. It was curved in like a U. What blows me away is those little running lights are still intact, and they're glass. Very shocked. So we beat it out some with the hammer. You can see now it's not as caved in as it was, but we still have a lot of work to do. So we're going to get this torch going and try and straighten out around this headlight, because we want to try and put a headlight in it. We're trying to get that crease out. See that big old crease?
Okay, yeah, the very top. See, yeah. Wait, are you hitting it at the top? Yeah. 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 I like that. That's good. Where was you hitting that at?
I'll sit it with the ball peen up top.
Yeah, I like that. That's the crease is starting to come out.
Top?
Yeah. It's busting the metal, but that's all right. All right. So now, as as best you can, see if you can stick this in the corner and let me hit it from out here. Right there. I got like there? Yeah. More? A little bit more. Alright.
This one took a lot of work. We were going back and forth, hitting it from one side, hitting it from the other, heating it up, doing everything we could. Then it kind of started to sprinkle on us. You can see on the top of the fender, it started to rain a little bit. We were trying to fit the bezel in there as we were hitting it, see how close we were. But even the bucket was bent along with the fender, so it took a while, but we managed it. All right, so it is the next day. Let me show you guys what we did here. And like I said, rudimentary. I know we're not going for SEMA show quality here. We at least got the headlight bucket to fit in there. We couldn't even get to these screws. It was so pushed in. The screwdriver wouldn't even get here. So the headlight bucket actually kind of fits in there decent. But here's the real gem. Look at that. We pulled that out to where it's nice and straight, kind of. And this is what I was really jonesing for. The hood actually latches. But in the middle of pulling this out with the wood, we tore this. So I'm going to spot weld these back together, give it a little bit of sturdiness. And after all that is sewed up, I want to start working on the charging system. Like I said, we have a 12-volt generator and a 12-volt regulator. So obviously there's the generator, 6 volt, and this is the 12 volt regulator that we're going to put on it. And after we get the charging system working, we can actually work on some wiring to try and get some headlights in there and maybe some taillights. So we're going to go ahead and open our argon bottle and we'll turn it down. That metal's pretty thin, so as the numbers go down, that means it's getting thicker. So 20, 18, 16, 14, 1/8 inch, 3/16. So this is pretty thin, so we're going to set it to probably in between 20 and 18 gauge right here. I mean, it's not very, it's thin. There we go. Alright. Welded. I can hear all the comments now, all the welders. Oh well, don't look too close. It's fine. Let's just see if the hood closes. Nice. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, baby. That's all we need. We just want the hood to close and the radiator to fit. That's it. Oh, dude. That's awesome. I mean, we had nothing before. We had nothing. The grill was pushed in probably a foot. This was bent down. I mean, it was insane. It was insanity. Oh, yeah. We actually have a hood now. Oh, dude, that's so cool. Dude, that's all I want. That's all I want, man. Okay. Now let's get that radiator in there. Before I stick it in, I'm going to just hose it down in case there's any crud in there. Let's see what that fluid looks like. See that? Just want to get that out of there while the radiator's out, you know? I mean, why not? Alright. It's not bad. Good enough. I want to be very ginger with this. Okay. I'm very happy that most of the original speed nuts were on this radiator core support because it's not nut and bolted. They have these what they call speed nuts. They're hooked to the frame and you put the bolt through them through an open hole, and if you didn't have those in there, they're hard to get to on this truck. So I'm glad I can use the original holes, the original mounts. There was only one missing. So the radiator will hold with 5 out of 6. I can't imagine it going anywhere. It's maybe 15 pounds. I mean, I don't even know if it's that. Love that this radiator is all aluminum, including the necks and all that, because you know on new cars, let me get a screwdriver. Anyway, the top and the bottom tank, this is what they call a tank. This big thing on top, and there's a tank on the bottom, and they're plastic on new cars, and from heating and cooling and heating and cooling and the vibrations of the car, they'll snap right here at the neck, and there's nothing you can do. These radiators, you can rot them out, you can clean them, you can have them repaired. Once those plastic necks break, I mean, you're done. There's no way to reattach it, rebuild it, fix it, nothing. So, and we'll put the water back in it, and you'll see the water is kind of discolored from the rust in the motor. We don't have to put new water in it. We can just filter it out with some. You'll see what I got here. Got some paint filters. This is for not house paint, it's car paint. When you're filtering out for when you're painting a car, I mean, if it'll go through that, that's filtering out in like microns or whatever it is. So if it can go through that, it can go through the radiator. I don't care what color it is. Kind of funny. This water was much darker yesterday. When I was looking at it right now, I'm like, man, that almost looks clear. It's because all that sediment has settled at the bottom overnight and making the water seem a little clearer. So that's good. It's all at the bottom now.
Not bad.
When we get to the end, you'll probably see all that sediment trying to come up. Look at that. Not a lot. Huh. I just wanted to give you guys an update. There could be some cool changes coming soon. Right here, if you notice, this is a concrete form. This is at my house. I do all of my work at my dad's house, you know, and you know, every man has to have his own pad, you know what I'm saying? So this is the beginning of mine. And these holes are footers. I'm gonna have them wet set some mounts in the ground so I can build a big carport right here 45 foot long, should hold enough cars for now. It'll be about 9 foot tall and it'll extend out definitely as long as any car I'm gonna bring home. But I'll definitely be working on projects and probably filming some YouTube videos here soon. Right. Hopefully these come loose. Nice, there's one. Two. Let's see about that third one. Nice. I mean, we could put an alternator on here and forego all the voltage regulator and generator business, but that's just not, it's just not cool. Another regulator and a generator on there just makes it more authentic, in my opinion. I mean, the radiator already looks enough out of place. On these regulators, there's 3 wires. There's a field wire, an armature wire, and a battery wire. And the battery wire is what connects to the truck, so when the generator's charging, it puts it back into the system to keep your truck juiced up. I'm hoping this 12 volt regulator fits right in the same spot. Look at that. There's one. Two. Get that third one in there. We'll have to redo some of these wires. I mean, I'd like to reuse everything I can. I'm that kind of guy, but I mean, so much of these wires have the insulation just gone. Something's going to short out. It's just a matter of time. So we're going to have to redo a portion of these wires, or all of them, or something. So this is the original headlight bucket that went in there, but it's really bent up from when the truck got hit. So we have another headlight bucket sitting around from a 47 to 52 Chevy, and it will work, but we're going to have to straighten this out more for it to actually fit in there, because that one's not bent and this one is bent. This is what actually holds the headlight. It goes in there, and it has an adjuster there, an adjuster there, and a spring. The original bucket's spring is missing or gone or broken, and the adjusters are gone, so this one really isn't usable. Alright,
Get over here. Alright. It's fitting good around here and here. You can go a little bit higher right there, so this will slip in there.
okay. Better.
That's as good as it's going to get.
I think that's not bad. The bucket's in there, halfway decent. It'll be enough to put some screws in and hold it in. Then we can actually mount a headlight in there. These things, I love Ace Hardware. These things slip over the hole. Let's see, like that. And then you can put your machine screw through it just like that. So I just had to get a few longer screws from Ace Hardware because those short ones weren't going to work, because this is all out of whack anyway. So I had to get some longer ones to reach, and so I put the actual headlight holder in, and this ring screws to here. See the holes line up? That's what holds your headlight in. The ring goes over the light. These go in a certain way. There's usually a bezel that goes there. It'll screw in right there. Then it'll just be a headlight ring, nice chrome ring to cover up all that ugly. Alright, look at that. I just decided to pop the other one in. It's not permanent setup, but I just wanted to see what it looked like finally for the first time with headlights. Let's close this hood. Oh yeah, now it's starting to look like a truck. You know, without headlights, a vehicle looks soulless. Now it's looking like it's getting its soul back a little bit at a time. So this is the light switch, and I'm just gonna lube it down some. If I could get my PV blaster can to work. And I'm gonna go behind under the dash and lubricate that slide, because this is supposed to come out. You pull it out, but it's solid, and I don't want to break that knob, so I'm gonna get underneath there and lubricate it. I got a picture somewhere of me getting under the dash of my 1950 GMC when I was like 12, restoring it with my dad, and man, how it's gotten harder to get underneath. Oh man.
All the wire cover falls off, and you can't use this, so you put heat shrink on it.
And that makes it where you can use that portion of the harness again.
Yeah. And then you just attach good wire to it.
Because this is what it looks like. You know, when you pull it out, see that? That'll just short to ground, you know. So instead of buying a new harness, we're fixing the old one and trying to reuse as much of the old wires as humanly possible. But there's sections we're gonna have to replace. There's no doubt about that. I love heat shrink. That stuff is great.
Let's just do it that way. See? It shrinks right around it. It's all heat shrinked.
So we got all our wiring out. We bought a couple rolls of wire. We have some old wire we've used on previous projects, and we're going to rewire these headlights. So we're going to run kind of a new loom through here and take all this out. I let this headlight switch set overnight, but it's not budging, and we might have to just get like a universal headlight switch for that, because I'm not really sure if that's savable. And then your dimmer switch, we lubricated this many times, and it's not budging whatsoever. And we have another one, so we're going to take this one out and put this one in it. This one will probably work. These things are really, really durable, so there you go. Ooh, that's not a good first impression. That's not good. Might have to resort to other tactics here. So this is actually a screwdriver you hit instead of twist. What you do, you put this on said screw, and when you hit it, this actually rotates. Dang, that's a rough one. Oh well. Here's our old one, 1946. She's stuck. See that button? Stuck. So we're gonna, we're gonna put the eyelets on these and put them on this block. This is the boring part, really. Wiring takes so long, and I feel like you don't get anything done. That's what it looks like. You can work on wiring all day long, and it doesn't look like you did anything. So we got ground, high, and low. I wonder what the NASDAQ is doing today. Probably not good. Where's my screwdriver? We'll just, I mean, this isn't going to be permanent real quick. I'm not going to tighten these down real hard because I got to do the other side, but what is this for? I don't know. Come on. There you go. Nothing we can do with any of that. Passenger headlight loom ran here under the fender, comes out at the fender well, runs up through the core support, runs to the block. We'll wire up our other headlights. Now I'm moving on to the dimmer switch. You see how these holes are offset? They're not equal distant apart from each other. The headlight switch we're putting in it, well, the dimmer switch, the holes are different. So we got a step drill here. We're going to drill another hole for it so we can mount it. You can see I just drilled the hole, that third hole right there. You can see daylight coming through both holes. It's matched up. We'll be able to mount this dimmer switch, but it wouldn't be smart for me to mount it now because we have to hook all the wires to it and then mount it. So I'm coming back here and I'm doing the wiring loom for the headlights. We're using the original headlight connectors and wires. We're just putting new heat shrink over them so we can reuse them. Instead of buying a wiring harness, we're pretty much just making our own from scratch. So we ran them in the original spot through the inner fender and the radiator core support up here right in front of the radiator, and we'll just put them in the original spots because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? We taped them all up just with black electrical tape so they look like they're all in one loom and halfway professionally done. I mean, that's how they did it back in the day. So I tried as much as I could to save the headlight switch. I lubricated it, waited overnight, tried to work it in and out, but it is so frozen solid shut. There's just nothing I can do, Doc. We just couldn't save them. There ain't nothing I could do. Now moving on to the key switch. The key switch is also trashed. I'm pretty sure that the key is broke off inside of it. I'm 99% sure. It's not usable. We'll just put a universal one in it. They're like 13 bucks. This key's gonna have to come out. I think the key is broke off in there. Okay, so for these running light housings, we took the housing out. We took the original mount out because it was trashed. We got these up at AutoZone for like $3 a piece. These housings right here. You put the housing in the original hole. It actually fits, if you can believe that. Then you put your bulb in through there, and it has its own little wire loom on it. We can put it back in its original spot with the original glass, and we'll have original looking amber running lights for the front grille. Now, if you saw the wire loom on that housing had two wires, one would be for running lights, another would be for turn signals. And although this would be perfect for turn signals, this truck never came with turn signals. 1946, I guess they weren't mandated yet. So all it is running lights, one wire, but two wires are there for turning signals if you want to put some on in the future. Now I'm taking the other side off to put the housing in it and put the bulb in it and put it back together, and I'm trying to be very, very careful because if you can believe it, even though this grill got smashed in, the lenses survived. Those glass lenses, each of them have a crack in them, but they both survived. and there's nowhere else to find them if I break them. So alright, now we have the trim and the glass inside the running lights on both sides. Each of them have one hairline crack, but they're still there. I can't believe the glass didn't shatter. I mean, you guys saw how this looked before. The fact that these are even there is amazing. We're just gonna jump them to see if they work. Okay. Man, that's cool. I love that.
50 years.
Yeah, 50 years.
Lights are on.
That's sweet looking. Now that the running lights are in, the headlight buckets and the headlight holders, those silver things, they're in. So we can mount the headlights, plug them in, and we can manually test them, like manually jump them to see if the headlights come on and work. And then we can run the wiring for the dimmer switch and the headlight switch.
Battery, you mean?
Yeah. So we got running lights. Low beams.
Dims. Rights. Dims.
Running lights.
Running light. Dims. Right.
Ha! Love it. If you notice on the right side, there's two sets of blue and red wires, and on the other side, there's one set of blue and red wires. So that second set of blue and red wires runs here in the original holding places down to the dimmer switch. And then that green wire is power from the headlight switch, or power from the battery. So now that we've hooked the dimmer switch, that foot pedal down there should give us our brights and dims.
Alright, hooking it up.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, I think that's our low beams. There you go, that's our high beams. Low, high. Yep. It's working. Uh-huh. Yeah, that foot pedal's working. Okay, so it's the next day now. Yesterday we finished off with wiring up the headlights, kind of quasi-wired up the headlights. We don't have the headlight switch hooked up to a battery. We were kind of manually just, forcing it to have power from the battery. We want to wire in some tail lights and stop lights. But here's kind of what's interesting about that. So here's what's left of the tail light. The tail light / stop light. And it was also the license plate holder. You can see here where they would have mounted the license plate. And here's your original wires. This isn't reusable whatsoever. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this reflector off and just mount some basic tail light stop lights to this. But it only had one light. There was not two stoplights. There was only one on this side. If you look underneath the truck, here's the original wires, right? There's no tee-off to go over here. So we're going to go ahead and run new wires. Use the original routing to route them back to the front. So some of you might know what this is. This is a fluke meter. And to test the brake light switch, it's actually a pressure switch underneath on the master cylinder. This is ohms of resistance, and you see that little sound bar there? Makes a sound. Whenever there's an open line, nothing, continuity, there's sound. So here's the master cylinder, and here's the pressure switch. So this should be open because the brakes are not depressed, so we shouldn't hear any sound. So go ahead and press the brakes. Hear that? Brakes on, off. Alright, let off. Hit them. There we go. Let off. Hit them again.
Just a minute ago it had a steady screen.
Yeah. Alright, today is the day. They are pouring the concrete for the giant carport. This will be a good place to park my cars and do work for the time being until, I have the money for a shop or whatever. This is going to be about a quarter of the cost of a legitimate shop, and I have power and water and everything I need to do work. So this really is a huge bang for my buck, and plus, in Arizona, you need somewhere to put your vehicles out of the sun. The sun wreaks absolute havoc on paint and interiors and everything else, so I'm just super happy. Okay, so now we have our wires ran to this brake light. Coming underneath the frame. We're going to tie that up so it's not hanging down, and we'll have to but connect some wires from this loom going up through here so we can have brake lights on this side. And it's ran through the frame. See that in the original spot that the old one was. So it's running on the frame rail coming up through here. Comes up right here and runs inside the truck. And right here is where the headlight switch is going to go. Taping up some more of the headlight, running light, wire loom. Turns out we could use approximately 0% of the old wires. Some of these old vehicles you can reuse some of the wires. They're not half bad, but this one, no. Now we're soldering the running light wire that we ran from the front of the truck over to where it runs to the rest of the body and the headlight switch. So we got these from our friend Jerry. He's really cool. He wasn't using these. These are 2-wire dual filament housings, and we didn't have to buy them new, and it's not that we didn't want to buy them, they just would look wrong, you know. I mean, a brand new square set of lights for this truck just wouldn't look right. So these ones have the right amount of sweat on them. They got some cool badging on them, stamping, Peterson's, pretty cool. So we're going to drill holes in these mounts because obviously can't mount them that way. We're going to drill some holes, mount them like that on either side, and we'll have tail lights and stop lights. So I debated on whether to mount them like this or like that. I think we'll mount them like this because if you mounted them like that, the wires would have to go kind of over the top. Whereas if you mount them like that, the wires can just go from the bottom into the rust hole of the bed. So. Alright. Look at that. Might have to cut some of this off. Not fitting right. And basically just do the same thing to the other side. Want me to get like the torch?
We'll just do both these at the same time.
Okay.
There you go. We'll just leave that wire there.
Okay.
Just, you never know what anybody's gonna do. You know, if you cut it out of there and you ever want to put in a signal on there, you ain't.
Tail lights are mounted, but connected. Looking good. We're about to try them just to see if they work. We'll tape these up and everything, but I just want to see if they work. Okay, try it. Yeah.
Alright, brake light. Hold on.
One goes out when you do that. So we actually had to unbolt this housing and grind some of this off so we could get a good ground to the body because it was so rusty that we don't think it was even grounding, and we tested it with our test light and we're going to see if it actually works. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. Yep.
Both working?
Yeah, let off. Okay.
Running lights?
Yeah, hit it. Yep.
Now we should have headlight.
We're trying to test this headlight switch to see which one's the running lights, which one's the headlights, and whatnot. So we have our battery here, positive, negative. We have the positive hooked up to the constant power from the battery, and then we have our test light hooked up to the negative side so that whenever we pull the switch, we should visibly see which one's getting power when.
That should be those are your headlights. And then you can turn your headlights off and just run your running lights. See, no power.
And then out both times is the headlights.
That's headlights.
And then, so that's working. If we put it on the other one of these should be our running lights. So if you pull it out once, there you go, that's our running lights. And then pull it out again. Yeah, so your running light should always be on when your headlight switch is in either position. So that's our running lights. Here, when we were doing the power thing, I marked them: H for headlight, R for running light, D for dash lights, which we're not even really going to use because this is a 6-volt dash, and then we marked it anyway. And then this unmarked one is the dome light, which I don't even think this truck has a dome light now that I'm looking around in here. So this is a pretty simple headlight switch. There's that. Do a little tug test. Little pull test. Good to go. Now we got to hook constant power from the battery to this, and this isn't hooked up to the headlight switch. The brake light switch actually has constant power, so we'll pull this away from the loom, run it outside. We got a junction block outside we're gonna run a lot of wires to. And so Dad's stripping this wire. We're gonna put a big old fat eyelet on there so that it can go on the starter, which gets constant power from the battery. That lug right there is where we're gonna run our power to this junction block, and that's always going to be hot, and then everything that needs constant power we're going to put to that block. So we have our headlight and our ignition wired up. That's the battery power. The green is the ignition wire, and I know we have kind of a mess going on. We'll tape this all up when we're finished, but here's our power junction block. Put a fuse block in here to fuse some of our lights. Okay, so now we're going to test it with the headlight switch. We got the battery hooked up. Okay.
Running lights?
Yep.
Headlights?
Yep, headlights.
Okay.
Should check the back.
Alright, running lights are on.
Okay.
Running lights.
Yeah.
Brake lights.
Yeah.
Alright.
Brake lights. Alright. Our wiring is practically done, so we're moving on to the generator regulator charging situation. And this thing, it's freaking heavy, man. Yeah, we're going to switch the pulleys out. This is a rebuilt generator. This is obviously the old one, but the belts are not the same. This is the normal style V-belt. This was just like a really, really fat single big one, so we got to switch the pulleys.
Sometimes.
Alright.
What do you think?
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
I think it would be just fine. You want me to try to put the bolts in?
Well, I think, yeah.
We got a problem up there?
The mount's kind of a little far off, but it might work. I don't know. Might be able to.
What?
So it turns out the bracket mount on the new 12-volt generator is in a different position than the bracket mount on the 6-volt generator. So now we have to put the front housing off. The 12-volt generator has the new one, the mount with the pulley, and the pulley from the 6-volt generator. Because, well, I made a stupid mistake when I was putting this in. I dropped it, and there's supposed to be 2 tabs here.
Supposed to be 2 tabs on here.
Yeah, and I busted it off. So not only are we going to have to use the front housing from the original, we're going to have to take this one off and put the old housing on. And hopefully I don't break it again. I just hate it when I make stupid mistakes like that, because not only is it a dumb mistake, it can be very costly, not in money, but in time. If you break one of these parts that aren't really replaceable, you put yourself in a bad spot to find another one. You can't just go buy it at the parts store. So we're just lucky that these Delco Remy housings match up, that they're the same brand from the 40s and 50s, or else I would be royally screwed.
Then come down just a hair, maybe. Okay, twist it. There you go. It should be. There it is.
It's in?
Yeah. Should be able to go ahead and put your adjustment bracket on.
With the switched out housings, it fits perfect. The bracket lines up. Everything is good. Now we just got to wire up the generator to the regulator. And I'm taping up that
so the generator is wired up to the regulator.
We're like really close to having a charging system potentially.
The regulator, so it should charge the system. We're going to start it up and see if it's working.
What's that sound I keep hearing? I don't know. The sound was the rattle of the fan on the generator. It was loose, so we had to take the pulley off, put a washer on it, put it back on, and that ended up fixing the problem.
I don't know if this hole is big enough. Of course it's not. I'm going to have to get my step drill. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah. Kind of got to get that triangle fitted in there. Oh, come on. Okay, so it's in now. Headlights, key switch. We're not going to use the start side because your foot does the starting. But we got off, accessory, off, run, start, which we're not using, headlights. All right, we're looking good.
Okay, so we got the window frame out. It was kind of a bear. It was really bad. So these are the arms that hold the bottom of the glass out that go in and out. And up here is the hinges. It just flips out so that the glass can do its thing. And these screws right here, see all this rust? That rust was all along here. These screws were absolutely terrible to try and get out. We had to heat them up. You can see the discoloration of the metal. We had to heat them up, get a vice grip on them, and work them out. And we finally got the window frame out. We got it out over here. And see, here's those two pivots on the bottom that push it out. So we got 1, 2, 3, and then the fourth one broke off in there, but we got 3 out of 4. And it comes apart like this. It pulls out, and you have to pull the top off to get the window out. And we only had one window. And I want to show you guys something kind of interesting about these old pieces of glass. See how this is broken off, but this seems to be perfect? How would a one piece of glass break perfectly like that and leave the one half intact? This is actually 2 pieces of glass sandwiched together. So 2 pieces of glass of the same pattern sandwiched together. If you look close, you can see the seam. See that seam right along the entire piece of glass? You can see again where it broke here, but this piece stayed intact. This is laminate glass. So they had big problems back in the day with people suing the big car companies because glass would be one piece, and when it would break it would shatter everywhere and it would kill people. So what they did was they sandwiched 2 pieces of glass in between a piece of laminate. And what you see here, this browning around these cracks here, that's not the glass deteriorating. That's actually the laminate inside those 2 pieces of glass deteriorating. And it always starts around the edges of the glass and works its way inwards. This is my dad's 54 Oldsmobile. This is all original glass and paint and whatnot. The glass looks pretty good, right, from a distance. But when you get up close to it, you can see that laminate starting to deteriorate and work its way into the glass. The glass will always look like this, but that laminate just starts to brown over time. So we got all the major dents hit out of it. We got the headlights in it. We got the bezels on it. We got the wiring done. Headlights, brake lights, running lights. We got a generator and a voltage regulator on it, so it's charging 12 volts. But we still have a few things we want to do. We got to wire up a fuel pump. We don't have any external fuel pump to kind of keep the truck going so we can get it off life support. We're going to put a new front windshield in it because that's legal. The side windows and the back window can actually be cracked. It doesn't really matter. The front windows, however, the cops will pull you over for. So we're going to put some front windows back in it. And we're going to wire wheel this off just to get the scale and the heavy rust bits off, and then we're going to put flood on it, which is just a clear coat basically that you wipe on it like I showed you in the beginning of the video, kind of like right here. We want the whole truck to look like this. We'd like to find a door for it and maybe a seat situation. So I think there will be yet again another update on this truck because there's just a lot to do. I mean, there's a lot to do on this thing. 1, 2, and even 3 videos just isn't enough. But we've came a long way from pulling it out of that farm in Glendale. So I think we're doing pretty good. And I know you guys are liking the update. Me and my dad very much appreciate the views, the likes, the subscribes. Keep on doing that to push us up in the YouTube algorithm. It really, really helps. And it's totally free. So make sure you stay tuned because we are going to put out another update on this 1946 International. And we'll see you guys in the next video.